Alrighty, welcome everybody from around the world. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everybody out there. And boy, oh boy, do we have a very interesting day on our hands. Vaccine, or supposedly we are led to believe. 90% protection, which is well up from the expectation of around 70 to 80%. Hello everyone out there. It's a pretty scary morning if you're short, unfortunately. I know a few people are. It's very large moves, very, very quick. And when we take a look at the markets, let's just quickly load these beasts up right now and press this futures button. And you can see it is a sea of green. Some people are asking why the Nasdaq not doing so well. Leading just because the thing is, this is a little bit faster than Wall Street thought. If we do have this, it is as good as they say, etc., 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 then we're going to have, of course, a very, very large move across the board. Nasdaq 12,161, while the S&P 500, and particularly look at the Dow. Look at what Boeing is pushing the Dow. Boeing is moving like a wildfire if you check that out. 5.29% in the futures here. We have Euro stocks up crazy amounts. Look at this, 7.25% in futures. Is it going to even be able to hold these levels? These are big trades. I mean, this is actually the real market too, really. Russell 7%, small caps doing really, really well. DAX 6.35. If this is true, if it comes through faster than we expect, it's going to be a very, very wild time. And that's mostly because there'll be a huge amount of new rebalancing, people going back into the older industries, into industries that were cash flow poor. There's so many ramifications that we'll talk to you all about today. $77 coming in with US $4. Supporting the channel as always, Sandollar. Thank you very, very much. He's obviously paying for a coffee, so thanks very much, Sandollar. It is 11:33 at night over here. Let's just quickly go through some of these questions here. Got a whole bunch of people talking. Basically, yes, this is the big one. 23 minutes ago, you'll notice it came out. Let's have a look at the screen board here. Just have a look. Well, look at that. Even Bitcoin's still holding up actually here. This is the company, I believe, BioNTech. We have a 18.76% open, but look at gold. Here's gold. My goodness. Just completely collapsed there for a second. So many big moves coming across the board. Where's my screener that I had up before? Where'd I put it? I did have it here for everyone. And I have no idea why I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. So this is the kind of screener board that we usually use going into price. We've got EA down here for some reason. But look at this. Dow Jones almost spiking into 30,000 pre-market. 30,000. Very, very, very wild numbers. Let's just quickly say hello to everybody that's come in here. I know Siddharth's there, Buzzblads, obviously Sandollar. We've also got Kartik, Neve, Daniel, Jimmy, Aussie Cobber 71. Good to see you here as well. Michael, Pokey B, so many Kyle, everybody else. Brian, of course. Good to see you here. Sorry for anyone I did miss. So, look, can the futures hold these kind of trades? Well, we're going to quickly answer probably a few of those points. We have very large moves just before this announcement anyway. We had a bit of a decline throughout the day. Remember, yesterday we were at 35.44 up here, and then we did see some decline. Sorry, that was on Friday. Some decline into the close points. And then bang, straight back up here in terms of 34.62 in only a few points, 36.51. Very, very large moves. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of people coming in. Yes, we will check everything. All the tech stocks, Zoom including, not doing so well. Let's just reset this. We've got this set to 20 billion plus, 460 large cap companies with an EPS pretty wild. We've got Boeing 16.12% up. Bookings holding, so bookings.com, things like that, 11% up. If we go to the negative declines, Biogen here, negative 27%. Zoom down 16%. One of the kind of favorites of the market, losing $80 coming into open here. Peloton, DocuSign, all of these leading companies during the crisis now suddenly not leading. Netflix down 6% as well. there might be some shopping. You never know. There might be some tech shopping soon, because while people might sell it off and think everything's glorious going for value in other places, that doesn't mean that it's all over for tech. Do remember that. Okay, now where do I have my chat here? So I think I might have lost it, but what does everyone think happens after the first hour? Can we hold these levels? Give us a yes or no. Can we hold these levels? Let me know in the chat what you think about these zones right now. Brian says Nasdaq taking a beating. Yes, oil also doing incredibly well. If we go back over to our charts and we go to the futures markets, you'll see here oil having a spike across the board. It's obviously incredibly positive news for oil. Is it time now to get into things like Exxon, get into other beaten down energy stocks? Is this the time? Siddharth says off the cliff. Logan says, like poker, is it a bluff or not? Hold for today. I doubt. Brian says here, I doubt it. How if the weighting is biased to tech? Brian, that's a good point. Biased to tech. So if we have a huge amount of weighting and sectors in tech, and tech doesn't do as well today, then are we going to have a bit of a problem there and maybe a little bit more of a decline than we think? Looks very trappy coming in from Logan. Cannabis and solar shining here from Zaki. Pavel says, hey, Tom and chat, going to be a correction in the booming stocks for sure. Yeah, so this is a very large move. Look, let's just have a look here on paper at the US 500. So we've been kind of talking about this on the weekend. Let's have a look at the weekly here. So we had a weekly close right around this 3,500 zone. Now, we've opened up with this big news. We've gotten above this very clearly by now. And if we're taking it from a potential, let's just call this a range, all right? We could go range between the wicks. We could go range to this body. You know, it's a matter of 50 to 60 points. So if we're just thinking really, really big picture, how crazy could this market theoretically bull here? And I kind of said 3,800 was a key zone for it. But we've got to remember the Dow is about to hit 30,000 in futures. So let's go over to the Dow now. And this is what has me thinking, well, do we see a little bit of a sell-off here? Dow Jones hyperactive into the 30,000. You would think there is some psychological selling around this key area. You would think that. The market also has a tendency on Monday, even with the news, I know the news is a thing, to sell off after the first hour. So this is a very, very big one. $7.77 says, show me the numbers and then I'll make a decision if anything will hold up. Zaki says, it's a one-day pop or is it the start of another 30% run? That'd be a pretty wild run. Eric Kogo says, so can we expect more selling for gold and silver? Well, we're taking a look at that, Eric, and a whole bunch of other things. Absolutely. So this is a very, very large move on what is realistically still, from my understanding, 10,000 people, I think. Where is the notifications down here? So it's 10,000 people. It's not like it's going to still be... It might be like emergency given or something like that at the end of the year, possibly early next year. That's maybe not that new. I think the 90% protection was the big bit of information here. Most people expected about 70 to 80%. The market is incredibly fickle and it will move quite quickly. So we've absolutely smashed this by now. This trend line's completely destroyed. So it was clearly a level that some potential was being paid to, but that's been destroyed today. This is a big bit of fundamental news. So let's have a broader look around the markets. I think this is certainly positive for energy stocks, and I do want to look at energy stocks a little bit later, but let's just bring up this Webull again and talk about what's going on the pre-market here towards a few of the more positive areas. So we've got Boeing here coming back pretty difficult. Like, that was up about 16% only a few minutes ago. So 10 minutes ago when we started the stream, we were up 16%, now only 12.9. Walt Disney, one of our favorites, Disney doing really well, 8.5% up, 138. I can't say I hate that one. I've been a bit of a fan of the old Disney, so that's all right. But some of the others here, Disney, well, it makes sense. This is big news for it if it's true. Caterpillar as well, doing well. I think that, McDonald's probably surprisingly that it's doing so well, 4.82%. Look at oil. Yeah, so if we look at some of the oil stocks out there, if we broaden this off a little bit, and we go to get rid of all this stuff. There you go, that'll do. We'll get rid of some of those. Bring this down a little bit. So if we have a look at oils, actually, how's Exxon? Let's have a look at Exxon and a few others. They should be pretty crazy, yeah? Exxon should be moving very, very fast right now. Let me just grab all this up. I must say, I wasn't expecting to see this when I was coming in for today and getting ready for the stream. So Exxon 35.85 up 9.37. So let's just put that in perspective again. And a lot of people say, oh, well, we're missing out on a lot and everything. But Exxon is only getting to this point here. So if we are confident that that is real news, let's just say you were confident that this is a big changer and you were going to be bullish. Have you really missed out on that much yet? Now, remember, the thing that we were talking about with markets that get down this far is that they usually sit in a range. So possibly today we see it go up here. We're going to see it hit this 50 exponential moving average here on the daily, probably find some resistance, previous resistance before, very key level. And it makes sense. Look why it opens, 35.78. Look where 35.78 is. Previous resistance, 50 exponential. So it's that tight kind of level. Now, this is what may happen. It may then move up. Let's get the arrow here. It may move up here a little bit, decline a little bit, and then pop it through and then decline again. Now, if it does that, the second decline here is actually a pretty good pickup. Yes, you're not getting the absolute bottom of the market, but Exxon does have room to fill a gap, and that gap is up to 40.41. Previous supports. Look what happened after the initial kind of sell-off this year. Now, I know this is only one energy stock, but look at this energy stock. Sold off, then all of a sudden, big return, basically that full kind of trap. That's the bull trap there. This actually had a bull trap on it rather than the rest of the market, and then the decline again. Logan says, vax are just a prevention, not a cure. That is true. They are just a prevention. Siddharth says, Mel Gibson shorting XOM. Macca's did the performance. Yeah, of course it had the earnings. Jimmy says, Disney took its time. It's bloody time to move. Yeah, that's certainly a long-term kind of play there. Disney couldn't move without it. We'll be taking a look at that some more as well. Copper is up. Yeah, look, a lot of things are up. I must say, when I was doing the analysis before this stream tonight, I didn't, I kind of went away and I came back and I had some stuff ready and then I went, oh, goddamn. There we go. We've got a lot of the analysis. Unfortunately, we just kind of blew through all the resistances, so it does make it a little bit more difficult, but we can do a whole bunch of stuff on the fly. So we've got here copper, of course, getting to the 3.2 level. Look, copper should remain bullish. Remember, let's put it in perspective here. We don't have much copper old chart here, but even if we go back to kind of the highs over in 2011, copper still has a large way to move. If we think about silver as well, a lot of people might be getting bearish on silver, but silver's still used in recovery. We still have jobs lost. Jobs aren't just going to miraculously come back. I don't think the US economy, in terms of things like stimulus, there's going to be a lot of companies that are gone under, and that will require silver. So if we go and have a look at a weekly right now, we bring in a daily. Obviously, it's not looking that beautiful, but it just came off here at 24, kind of 40, usually the 24.50 zone. Every 50 and every dollar is a strong area. So should we be bearish silver? I don't think so necessarily. I think that they might move down a little bit more, but long term, I'm still bullish for the next couple of years on something like silver, because silver will be demanded. Silver will be demanded. DXY doesn't look like it's crashing. No. So DXY actually a slight increase there, Buzz. Slight increase off our low. Now we have the 92 kind of pegged here as a level it should find support, but dollar index is certainly not crashing. US markets still 36.42. So we are holding relatively high, but I wouldn't be surprised at all for some of the hype to come out of this. In previous vaccine kind of news, now nothing maybe as good as this one, but previous vaccine news, we've held some gains and we've held some euphoria, but not everything. Tech stocks down, absolutely. Silver retesting before exploding to 30, says Eric. I think that silver still has room to grow in it. Again, look at your larger charts, think about the situation and think logically. Now, this is more of an investment than a trade, but if you think about it logically, we came out of the recession here. We started to increase because this is what happened. Silver went down and then it started to improve. And then it went into a hyper euphoric moment. Now that's a hyper euphoric moment. When it goes that vertical, you always know that it's going to end bad. It's always going to end bad. It's like Bitcoin to 20K the first time. But it always happens in a very similar kind of way. And that is that the first couple of years are usually relatively strong in demand, and often metals will have hyper euphoric phases in them. Brian says Amazon is down 4%. Yeah, this is definitely not something that's hitting all sectors equally. Let's go over again, and you'll notice here Nasdaq now down 12,000, and that's what's starting to hit this index. You know, you said this, I think, or somebody else said this before. The tech stocks are a huge part of the S&P, so that's why the Dow is outperforming a little bit here. The Dow had some Caterpillar, Boeing, these kind of stocks are just absolutely slamming today, when we have things like Apple probably down a little bit. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm sure it is. We've got Amazon down 4%. So it actually, if you're actually a big bull on tech stocks, yes, this might decline those stocks, and then you may be able to get into those potentially. Because we are in the revolution of things speeding up. It's just that what's happening is these companies that were going to go under and Wall Street thought they were, maybe they don't go under now. Maybe it takes longer for tech to take over. Brian, yeah, you said it. Yeah, good work, Brian. Let's load up that Nasdaq. There's so much to cover here, guys. It's almost like a really hyperactive kind of news announcement that we kind of expected, except in this case, it's totally unexpected. So here's the Nasdaq, here's the move here, 12.4 pre-futures down to, wow, we're going down to 12,000. We just hit this 4-hour 20. Ooh. Yes, first touch of the 4-hour 20 there. Pretty key little zone, 12,000. I'm not surprised to see some buying pressure coming off that. There will be some stocks where people will say, well, the damage is already done. Maybe we still should be in these tech companies. I don't see how we're going to go back to just being like, oh, all these other companies are great. I've been pretty bullish tech. It's pretty bullish tech down here. I'm pretty bullish tech here as well. Remember, Biden did not get the Senate. Also important. Look at gold, 1912. I think that's pretty much where it was before the stream. So yeah, gold certainly declined pretty hard, but again, not unusual for gold to have fairly big declines. Gold's different to silver. Is this an overreaction? Yeah, it could certainly be too much of an overreaction, but this is a very interesting move here on the Nasdaq. So we're seeing a big difference between the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the Dow. Now, I'm not sure exactly what to make of it yet. I mean, where do you get into things like the Nasdaq? I mean, it just hit a very nice pullback level. But, you know, it was this low. It was 11,000 last week, so it's still 1,000 up from where it was. Big moves across the board there. Zaki says, I think market will sell off today. Need to watch first few hours closely. So a lot of people will tell you in the room, when we stop streaming, about half an hour later, it sells. Basically, the first hour, remember, is very much a trap hour. So the first hour of the market is generally the trap hour. That's when all the retail herd and the retail community get involved. Then the second hour onto the close is generally the period that the bigger traders come out. And really, this is the one we should be looking at. You know, in tomorrow's video, what am I going to be looking at? The close. Everything will be about today's close. That will tell us whether Wall Street, because they're looking into it right now. I'm sure the Boffins are doing their work. The people with 200 IQs are doing their work and they're ready to play it out. Never feel FOMO. This is a tough one because you may not have made a decision on what you're going to do here. Possibly you start to look at energy stocks. Maybe that was something you were already looking at. It doesn't mean you have to buy them today. But the market is moving faster than ever before. I understand that. But possibly that's what you're looking at. This could be one of the catalysts that you had in your plan. The other thing is that this is faster than some people would have expected, making sense why it's hitting tech stocks, hitting Zoom, hitting obviously Amazon and other things. But that doesn't mean that Amazon isn't going to make mega bucks. It probably is. Eggsy Unwin says, I have gone from FOMO to DOMO, despair of missing out. I've never even heard the DOMO there, Eggsy, but yes, despair of missing out is a thing, but it's kind of like property in Australia here, yeah? It went up for ages, it went crazy ballistic, and then it had a year where it lost about 10 to maybe 12%, and then stagnated for 4 years. So, if you're buying it last year, it stagnated for so many years, plus lost money that it wasn't, if you held, it'd be okay. But again, optimism does pay. I'm sure you will get the opportunities. This is a very large move. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at and talk about these sectors coming in. So these old sectors, this is the sectors as of the last kind of little while recently. This is taken from, of course, Coifin. We'll be looking at this today a little bit, but it seems like things will have switched. So energy will be one of the top sectors of today, a sector that has been beaten down pretty large. Let's just have a look here at the energy sector. I just want to focus on that a little bit today because I think this is the one that has potential to do probably the best just with the beat downs that it's copped on it over the last year. So here is XLE, the energy sector. If we go to a 3-year chart here, you'll notice how beat down it is. Now, obviously Exxon is one example, but this is the whole sector. The big recovery into June followed by the sell-off. Even today, we're going to be opening around here, 31.5. Now, you may not have long-term love for this sector, but that doesn't mean that it can't get back up a little bit. So if we go to a 5-year chart, if we go to a 10-year chart, if we go to anything like that, you'll notice that it does ebb and flow. This was a really bad time for the energy sector over here, but specifically we are in a very easy area of value. Now, one thing with value is if you look at, let's say, value stocks, again, if we believe that this is the big news, value stocks outperform in a recession into recovery market, which we still technically are in. Basically, tech has been running its own kind of game. Then the first 1 to 3 months during that period is generally all about the value stocks. After that, no. But in the 1 to 3 months it is. So it will certainly be interesting to see something like that Exxon before and how it sets up. The XLF up 8% pre-market. Yes, XLF, another sector. So if we load up XLF, 7.69% up here. So 2688. Let's have a look at that on the daily here. Where does that put us? Well, it puts us at the previous kind of point over here, and that becomes the resistance. So notice the market does this in the futures. It goes and hits a resistance so that it can trap and then have its little sell off. And look, you look at this sector. Where does the community think that if the market, let's say, opens here, I'm going to put the line up for everyone right now. I'd love for everyone to answer this one. Where does the community think? Where do you guys think that this market would go to if it was pulling back? So let's say it opens at 26.88. No coincidence, straight on the previous resistance. Where does it pull back to? I'll give you a few moments. Few people putting synergies to 1929 in here. WTI up big. Yes, it is. Let's see if anybody knows this one. I might have to answer it because I think I've got a bit of delay here. A few people saying 25, few other points. So yeah, basically where we're going to go is most likely we would pull back into previous resistances. So probably these resistances, and as some people have correctly said, around this 25 to 25.50. So what I do is I draw a zone, and that's the way I usually do things. Let's say I don't want to get it here because I'm like, I'm not going to fall into the FOMO trap. But, you know, I believe in the concept long term. Let's just say that's what I believe in. Then using TA and your fundamental analysis and your kind of news analysis, you might say, okay, I'm interested in this zone. You set alerts for that zone, and then what you expect is this. Market goes up, market pulls back after trapping people, scares them. You see the little lightning bolt effect. Obviously, the lightning bolt's very, very key in this area. And then you can take it to, of course, your long potential. But yeah, there's no coincidence that we've got energy instantly into the resistance and XLF sector here instantly into the resistance. Joe says anything is possible this year. Yeah. Bruce Banner, good morning. Everyone's heart beating, he says. Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. We're just kind of going through a bit of this stuff. There's certainly a lot of large moves coming through. VIX would be getting crushed right now. So VIX 23.7 down 4.75. We haven't seen a body close underneath the 25 for quite some time on the VIX. Fairly significant if it gets through this zone. Obviously, next step, 20. Underneath 20, well, the fear is certainly out of the market at that point. Remember, 20 is the most important area for the VIX, and the reason why is if you bring it out to a really, really large time frame and you consider the averages over time, any period underneath 20 has generally been coincided with bullish, technical analysis, swing, buy the dip, little dips, kind of trade the trend, that kind of thing. When you're above 20, anything can happen. This is the point where psycho things happen. This is the point where psycho things happen, and so on and so forth. But when it's down here, yes, okay, it'll eventually spike up and you can see it. But when it is flatlining at 10 or in that zone, not as large a move. Boring market, some people would say. Logan says, I'm not sure about that, Logan. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Dow Jones broke all-time highs from Eric. Yes, so did we get above the 30,000? We saw that buying there. There's the quick buying into the tech. I don't blame people that bought that 20 exponential moving average we saw just a few moments ago. 12,000 and a quick overreaction there with some selling on some pretty key tech stocks. Let's load up that Dow again, just have a look here. So we're still underneath what was going to be potentially a quick move into 30,000. 28,688 all the way to 29,901 in futures trade. Keith says green energy stocks. I think it takes a while for markets to probably, Meowdy says I bought it. Good work, Meowdy. So yeah, I think it takes a while for green energy stocks to get through, but they're going to do well as well. Anyway, just because of the Biden in presidency right now. We go up through some of these chats here. I saw a couple of comments come in I wanted to ask. Jonathan says, Tom, oil companies are a great buy and hold right now. They are very near to the March lows, and companies like XOM have huge dividends. And even though people think that the company can't survive or has bad cash flow, at the end of the day, Jonathan, they can get free cash. Free inverted commas, you know what I mean. Tom says, what effect will this have on stimulus, Tom? Well, Tom, Gagan, I think that you'll still have to see stimulus. People are still suffering. Vic says, I'm shocked my KLM Airlines, I remember KLM, stock is doing so well, 30% as of now. What gives? Well, it's the vaccine, Vic. A few people not loving the old, not loving the call on energy, but I think energy is still, it's a short to medium term for energy. Don't get caught up in the idea that, you know, oil's going back to $100 a barrel. If it does, cool, but it probably is the end of energy as we know it. It will be transitioned. Now, I've said that about coal for a long time, and coal has been a very still purchased thing in the world, but it is starting to be phased out. I would have thought it was going to be about 10 years ago. Here we've got NEO. A few people asked about this one, not sure why, but yes, look, it's still very vertical. I think, you know, it's down a little bit here. We've got 1.75 down. Nothing too much to report there considering the rest of the news that we've seen. Just to quickly put another refresh on this screener, because it's one of the easiest ways we can see here before we go over to some of the stocks moving and do some analysis on those. 12,000 Nasdaq, this is a bit behind now. Russell really pushing the, you know, massive bull run here, 7%. We've got Europe still holding very big moves. The VIX coming down heavily. Obviously, the story of the day is also in crude. That has been the biggest percentage, 9.1% here in WTI, and gold, silver, platinum, etc. suffering a little bit. A few people saying they would sell NEO. Dakota says oil is a horse and a carriage. Yeah, oil is, yeah, again, short to medium in my kind of idea. James has got BP, Chevron, and Kinder Morgan energy stocks on lows, dividends, and then cash out probably 20% in a few years. Yeah, no worries, James. I think, look, it's not a bad move. It was obviously always on the cards. The longer that they stayed low and they still had cash flow, the more chance that they're going to be coming back. We've seen bonds also copping it a little bit here. Bonds not doing so well. So let's go back over to our Webull future screener here and just have a look at some of the notable kind of movers. We've got this set to pretty wide, so we'll just bring this in a little bit. We'll go to 10 billion plus market cap just to get us under 500. We've obviously got EPS all over the place. So pre-market, big moves here. American Express, some of the financials doing really well. MasterCard, JP Morgan, Visa, all of these companies that were not doing so good, moving up, financials across the board. Zoom notably, Quidel, I don't really deal in that. Biogen, not doing well at all. This is a stock that is getting really hammered, unfortunately, there for anyone that's got that one, unless you've got puts on it. PayPal also declining. Netflix, still all of these, DocuSign, all these things that have got to do with the disruption. Be interesting to see how things like the ARK fund are going to do today as well. How's Slack doing? How is Work doing? Those kind of stocks. We'll be taking a look at that. Send in some of the stocks that you'd like me to have a look at now, and we'll definitely check those out. We'll go back to the indices as well. We'll have a look at those throughout the session. Certainly want to cover as much as we can. Where was my screener again? I probably lost it. Get rid of a few of these. We don't need so many on the screen. Bitcoin's still doing very well as well. Remember here with Bitcoin is it still has never held a monthly above 14,000. So it's one of the things I'm looking at for the close of this month. I know that seems so far away when we're looking at the 10th here of November, but very, very important levels there. Apple in the pre-market, probably flat to down. Okay, so we're just up 0.7. Tesla, as always, a few people coming in with Tesla. So Tesla should be doing okay, yeah? Surprising it's not doing better, because you would think the Biden sitting as he is right now, and then on top of that, also 2.41%. I mean, so also with a reopening economy, maybe more sales of cars. So you would think a little bit better here. But Tesla 440, what are the target levels there? Well, obviously for the bulls, we're targeting 460. We've got resistance, resistance. You put a horizontal line across this thing, you're going to see it all day long. horizontal resistance. It's a very, very clear level. Now, if you see Tesla do something like this, Tesla moves up, finds resistance, sells off a bit, goes up again and beats through 460 and has a close on the daily, which we have not had, then where do we target next? Well, we target, of course, the magical 500. We know Tesla is traded by a lot of you, me, all of us. So we're retail traders and we usually like going for the round number. So that's what Tesla's going to do. It's going to see this. There is going to be selling pressure. Then if it gets through, we know the nature of when Tesla busts out. And this is important. This is why some traders only trade 2 or 3 objects or instruments, is because when it busts out, it usually goes crazy. So how fast would it fill to 500? Probably quite quickly. A few people saying, why is QQQ dropping? Because if this vaccine news is true and it becomes this good and it's that fast, it's going to stop the disruptors. The disruptors are not going to grow at the pace that Wall Street has put on the targets. Not sure about that, Tamara. They said, didn't Bitcoin get hacked by a drug cartel? I'm not sure. Okay, so we'll keep going. I want to look at Disney for my own reasons. So Disney up 10%, 140 here for Disney. I think this is pretty big news for Disney, really. I mean, they rely solely on having an opened economy. Closed economy was not going to be good for them on really any of their businesses. Disney have cruise, they've got parks, they've got big Hollywood films, they can't shoot, all those types of things. Fairly significant here. Disney's actually moved above the resistance. I would have expected we're sitting at around 137, 136 on this news, hitting that resistance and waiting there. Usually you see it kind of here at a pre-market open. So we still might actually decline a little bit here on Disney pre-market and end up finding resistance there and open around this zone. Strawberry Fields Forever bought QQQ at 290, set limit order and sold 295 for a quick buck. I couldn't even get in Interactive Brokers. Limit orders are so important, guys. Strawberry Fields, great plan, and at least you've actually used the limit order. It's too many people just click on markets and it leads to knee-jerk reactions, which is a problem. So yes, limit orders, stop orders, all those types of things, using those, having a plan and sticking with it, very important factor when it comes to trading. Absolutely. The big news, what's the big news? This one here. We'll have a look at vaccine. We'll have a look at Visa there, Harry, as well. Yeah, we'll check that out. Let's take a look at Visa. Haven't looked at that one for quite a while. So thanks very much for everyone that's subscribing right now as well. Actually, wait a second. Did we almost hit an all-time record? I'm not even in the room. I think we're at about 834 watches right now. So thank you very much to everybody that's out there. Big stream, which is always awesome. So we'll go over and now let's have a look at Visa moving into the markets. Another one that pretty much has been off the cards. Again, a little bit of a crazy kind of level here for the financials. Tech's still doing quite well. Let's load up Visa. So Visa looking at a 212 open, pretty big, 7.11%. Is it above all resistances? Yes, 207 was the previous resistance with a 2 peak kind of resistance, and then it failed to get above that. Let's go to the daily here just to put a bit more perspective of what Visa's been doing. This is a pretty significant kind of level. We haven't ever got above a 218, 217.39 here on the daily. So what happens next for Visa? Well, it's been in a massive bull run for quite some time, and it's really in uncharted territory. So you know what you want to do in uncharted territory is you want to think about psychological levels, and you also want to think about pretty much things like fib extensions. And we might fib extension the S&P a little bit later. So fib extensions where you draw the fib basically backwards, and then what it'll do is it'll extend out. So you draw it from the top to the bottom and you extend the level pretty much from the last swing. And that gives you targets to go with. And especially if targets work into things like psychological levels, it's always a good point. So let's say you were a long-term bull on Visa. You hold it, you believe in it. Where do you target? Well, potentially you take what is going to be a peak to trough swing. And this peak to trough swing, a lot of people will be looking at this very clean. 161 fib 240. So whenever you're in uncharted territory, that's a good way of doing things. If we actually have a look at Apple, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show you it because of the way that they did the split, but let's have a look and go to fib retracement here of the last swing. So this was the swing that happened. Don't use magnetic either. This is the swing that happened there on Apple. And notice here, if I actually had it perfectly lined up, which I don't quite, let me get rid of that. What you'll have is you'll have the 161.8. Notice Apple, $100. It was right on it if you do it perfectly before the split. So at this point, we had that target, a hit, and it found resistance. Notice also then the 2618 extension was hit, went slightly above because it was going for a psychological number at the same time and a bit of a blow off. Nice target levels. That's one of the ways I look at things in uncharted territory, which we might be going into now that we've seen all-time highs on the stock markets. Go back over to some of the things. 1902 now for gold. So gold really still copying a decline here. Silver, 2416. So a slight recovery. Notice how gold is, as we said, finding more difficulty than silver. Silver is a used metal in the economy. So like copper, silver should still do okay because they'll need it. They will use it. It won't have the same kind of uncertainty priorities. Like it's kind of trades like a little bit like gold and a little bit like copper. That's the way I kind of characterize it. It's the hybrid. We'll call it the hybrid metal, in my opinion. Thanks so much for all the subscribers coming in there as well. Whole bunch of new subscribers. Siddharth says, buy the tumor, sell the cancer, guys. All right, there we go. RQ holds 1,003,000, is it? Or quite a lot of shares of Workhorse. Keep the faith. So WKHS has been an incredibly popular company that we've been talking about quite a lot recently. And this has hit amazing support. If you ever had no faith in technicals, look at this. This support we talked about the other day. So much support. No coincidence that it's on around that $15 kind of level and then it finds support again. So when you have a zone like this, and even if it's falling off a cliff, you have to obviously check the fundamentals behind it. But this is quite strong. If you're a bull in this company, what do we want to see? The same thing we always want to see. Lightning bolt to the bull side. Trough, peak, higher trough, gets through the 200 and the 50 when it makes a higher peak. Is that strong? Yeah, it is. Because if it does that, then all of a sudden, when it comes back down, which it will, it would test the 50, the 200, and the 20 would turn as well. And all of those would act as dynamic support. A very strong signal and a very strong hold from a technical analysis standpoint. So if you're in a stock like this one, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for Wall Street to push it up, get through, and make a new higher peak. That is a very important factor when it comes to defining trend. Because right now it's being sold off very, very hard. There are a lot of questions coming in here all over the place, so I can't get every one of them, but I will try. Jonathan says, Tom, the marijuana stocks are taking off. I believe a lot of stocks will be taking off. Let's have a look again at the broader market. Let's look at that US 500 again, back to the Dow. So it's still holding here into the pre-market. We still have a very nice hold, 36.53, 36.52. Go down to kind of the 1 minute, 5 minute. Let's go to the 5 minute, see how it's holding. So we have here a resistance, 36.40, that's been kind of hit and moved against. And right now the market's holding up. I'll be very interested to see the open today. And more importantly, I'll be very interested to see after that first 1 hour of trade. The 1 hour is going to be the key point there. $77 coming in with the US $5 saying keep it up. Thank you very much, $. As always, appreciate your support of the stream very much. WKHS earnings PM today. We shall see, Tom. Thank you. Absolutely, Jody. So earnings will obviously knock it either way, but overall, if you get a strong buy and it closes up there, then that would be great. Alexander says stronger industrials is better for all the tech, is it not? These potential customers for all cloud services. Look, tech's not going to slow down in terms of its domination of everything there, Alexander, but I think that Wall Street was thinking even faster sped up. Look at some of the PE ratios on some of these tech stocks. They were thinking that things were going to be so quick and they weren't going to change for quite a while. So you look at Zoom, I guess it's well worth us having a look at this right now. This particular stock was on a rocket ship to the moon. There's no doubt that was to the moon. And you look at this on a weekly. Look at this crazy move. This is a 20 moving average, so far away from it. So I would not be surprised at all now to see Zoom take a dive and come back down to earth. Possibly a 400 target. Now, 437, it's not that far off it. 400, you're hitting a 20 moving average, a psychological support zone, probably some buying pressure on Zoom. But at the moment, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no zone there for that one. Take a look at Netflix as well. I don't think this is as negative as maybe Netflix is thinking or the stock is thinking on Netflix. So we're down 5% here, 488. But we have a very heavy support line through Netflix. Around this kind of 470 area is very heavy support buying once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So we had the earnings, wasn't that great. But we are stuck in a channel here on Netflix. So I'd always be watching this level here with alerts. I think today is all about less about even the indices and more about the stock decisions that you're going to make. We're seeing some come back into value and some, of course, just go skyrocketing up. Shaolin versus Wu-Tang says it is going to be a bloodbath. Zoom almost 400 right now anyways, Pa said. Wasn't it about 437, Pa? Christoph says, how are you doing, mate? There is a big move on cruise stocks. Time to get in or wait for a correction. You would probably look for a pullback on cruise stocks. So what is a big one like Carnival Corp? This stock is go nuts. There it is, 30% up here. 30% sounds insane, but obviously it was so declined. My thought process in all of these is always going to remain the same. I don't ever fall into hype train on these kind of dead stocks or stocks with cash flow problems and all sorts of issues. The reason why is because I look at it from a perspective of I don't mind not getting the bottom. It's kind of like energy stocks right now. You'll notice that they can sit around in this zone for quite a while because they have to prove in earnings that they've turned it round. Basically, at this point, all faith is lost from Wall Street, and the only faith is us, the retail trader. We love these stocks when they get down, and I don't like having my money sitting there doing nothing. So what I end up doing is I just wait for it to break through a resistance zone, maybe like this one here, test it from the top down, and then I will get in. And I'll take it to that kind of next level, which in this case would be $40. Now, could it get there? It certainly can. That when they go hyperactive, they go back on, but they can sit in this zone for quite some time. So it's a good kind of bounce, but I'm not sure whether I don't like the hype that much. Paul Pham says, Tom, thoughts on the ASX now that 6,200 has been broken on our futures are going crazy. I actually have to have a look at this because I have an interest in what's happening on this one. And I did see before market, we were looking at a 65 kind of level, 64. All right, so we're 65.10 right now. It's a big move. All right, so, well, clearly we have an extremely good dip buy zone on this index, but that's a big move, 4.83%. We saw a big move today, pre kind of thing, 6,300, but now we're up 200 more points. I don't know, it looks pretty extended there, but we have put a lot of monetary policy stimulus in. I'm not too sure whether that's such a big deal for us. It'd be more our earnings overseas. We've dealt with this crisis situation relatively well, but it is important everywhere. 6,200 is still remaining a very good dip buying experience. Now with the news, if it holds, I'm not going to feel the FOMO on this one, but yes, where does it go? I was always thinking 6,600 to 6,800 on the next tick up, but if we do get a dip, 6,200 buy is super strong technically. Look at this. Whenever you get 1, 2, 3, 4 touches to that zone, when it pulls back into it, there is buying respect here. And usually you will have a moving average there at the same time. And usually you'll also have a fib pullback of the move. So you want to go with fib pullback. You want to go with moving average, price as well, 6,200, so psychological, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that seems crazy, but it could definitely pop back down here after hype comes off. If you're in, that's good, but this is a little bit too hyperactive for my liking. I'm always bullish this market, by the way. Alphabet supposedly moving down a little bit there, is it? Well, still doing pretty well. Alphabet should do okay. So this is one that should do all right anyway. It should be probably Amazon that cops it the most today, or one of the ones that kind of takes a little bit of a dive. 2% makes sense. Big, like if we get reopenings, then that's going to allow Walmart and other companies, big box stores, to continue kind of getting their audience. I know here in Australia we opened up and there was lines out the door and they had to take queue things just to be able to get in because everyone wanted to go shop in the stores. People yelling gold. Yeah, shorting pretty hard here. 18.90 now on gold. This is big news for gold hedges because people are getting out and they're like, well, why am I hedging with gold? Silver's still holding relatively strong compared to gold's drop here. Silver will drop though. Remember, silver's the hybrid. Copper's the one that usually just continues to kind of do its little thing with economic recovery. It's why we call it Dr. Copper. We just hit an all-time record, so thank you very much, guys. We are over 900 viewers. Thank you to each and every one of you that's here viewing us today. Obviously, big news across the markets, led by this vaccine news. 90% protection is the key bit here. Expectations are 70 to 80%. If we go to movements across the board, we're seeing financials, travel, what else? Energy, all doing incredibly well. Energy kind of hitting those resistances, as is the financial sector market. So strong moves there. A little bit of pressure coming into kind of game changers in tech. We'd expect some market pressure to come off those. But the big stories of the day, American Express, the Buffett train, 18.6% right now pre-market. That is huge, 114. I want to look at that stock right now, American Express. I have not looked at that on our live streams for 3 months. 3 months there. All right. 18.78 puts us at a 114. Again, no coincidence, it's at the previous peaks. And again, after the hype dies off to a degree, it probably can't hold this number. Maybe it can, but it probably can't. Usually you see a decline. So we get that 115 and then it declines back to the 108. And what do we have? Multiple 1, 2, 3. So we've got multiple resistances acting as support. That's kind of all you get in the dip usually. Again, that's how I use the TA. The technical analysis is one of the better ways of considering the zones. Sandollar got me there. Sandollar says 7 minutes till market open and then revised it to 7 minutes and 1 hour till market opens. That's right, Sandollar. So we've got a little while to go. So I'll be joining with you till 1:30 a.m. my time. Obviously, I'm dedicated to the cause here in Australia, and we're going all the way into the open for today. May I know what websites you're using to access this information? Absolutely. With so many new viewers in here, why don't we go over a quick fact check of some of the good websites that you can use that are free. One of the ones that I recommend, finviz.com, great website for you to use. You can view your future screens here, which is awesome. You can go through and you can look at different things like Forex. You can have a quick future screen there. Great for news as well. Usually only financial news and opinion pieces on the right-hand side. Well worth checking out the news screener. And one of my favorites is always to be able to go in, press on a stock, and then load up all of the data on that stock, including what all the monkeys think around the world of how much this stock's worth, information that's come out about it, insider trading, if there's anybody selling or buying those kind of stocks. It's all here for free, so that's good. Another one I shared with the community the other day, thanks to a community member actually. I didn't know about Koifin. Koifin. If you don't have Koifin, go sign up Koifin. I'm not affiliated with Koifin, but I highly recommend this. This is cool. Very, very cool. You can check here again, top news. I think it's even better than FinViz. This is sick. It comes up with all the information here. You got US sectors. You can go and do your sector breakdowns here and compare them all. 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, whatever you want to look at. 5-month. I use this in the videos all the time. It's sick. I like it a lot. And we also have the ability to go to maybe like today's markets, compare the indices against each other, the majors. You can do all sorts of things. You can even see how metals are doing against each other. All of that type of stuff is here in the macro. We go to currencies, load them all up against each other. Very cool. So if you like that stuff, that's worthwhile checking out. Last one, I'll give you forexfactory.com. Check that one out. Live, free data. Basically all the economic information that's coming out for that week, and you can set it to your time frame. So you'll notice here it's 12:27 for me, but you can set it for your own one and it will set it up. Just a reminder as well, we have obviously bank holiday here for the US, which will be on the Wednesday, Thursday my time, and we also have our good friend Fed Chair Powell coming out to say everything's all good. He's coming out. Pavel says gold might do the same move as in '08. Crazy ride to the moon after similar pullback. So yeah, gold certainly could still move up. Remember, if we look at the synergies between gold and the SPX. So if we loaded SPX, always a good thing to do here on TradingView. This is TradingView, by the way, if people don't know what it is you can click comparison, type in something like gold as a ticker, bring them two together, use line charts, probably the easiest way to compare. Get rid of these lines, 1 second, guys. Okay, and then you can go over here and you can look at weeklies. So I like to do this when I'm comparing stuff to the GFC, etc. So I can go over there, and you probably want to go the other way around, but you can see here, '09 lows, GFC lows here on the blue line, which is the S&P. Usually you'd use that one as the comparison to gold, but look at this. Gold continues to run while the S&P continues to run, but only to a period, and then it's bad. Gold is a timing thing. You invest in it for a period and then get the hell out of there, because you don't want to be in it for like 10 years. It's not that great. But it's good for a couple of years. No worries with that. By the way, if you haven't smashed already the like button, definitely consider doing so. It does help us out. All right, let's go back over and take a few more kind of things that people want to see, some more stocks that are moving hard. Please leave it to big caps, not penny stocks if possible. We do prefer to use big caps. It's more interesting to the community. And we'll also have a bit of a projection here on the S&P 500. So right now we're sitting at a 36.57, 3.98 up in the market here pre-open Monday. One of the biggest Mondays we've seen since really the crisis kind of began. 3,800 is the projection here from just looking at this as a range on the weekly. Now we're looking at weekly, and you'll want to do it on the SPX, not on the US 500. Always the SPX whenever possible. If we go down to the daily, the expectation therefore is this range. That becomes extrapolated out. And if we use kind of our trick from before as well, and we think about maybe using a fib retracement, we could use that as well to see whether there's any proofs. Now, there not always is going to be, but on this pullback, you've got basically a 1618, which is a 37.35, and a 2618, which is just above 4,000, about 4,047. I'm thinking that the Dow probably hits something like a 30K and then starts to struggle. There should be, you would think, some selling pressure at 30K. Piotr says here, PLN25. Thank you very much for the donation. Koifin EST estimates. Do you think they are worth looking at? For example, Barber has very strong buy and like 650% upside, which sounds a little crazy. I'm not sure, and I'll have to look into that for you. I am not sure, and I'll have to look at that. That is a pretty crazy upside. I mean, how does it give you like a time frame there on how long it's going to be? I'm just not sure. Yeah, that's probably a little bit crazy upside there. But Barber, certainly a very strong company, and definitely could see hundreds of percents. Can you take a look at Aurora Cannabis? Yeah, we can do that. We'll look at the ACB code here. Wow, that's a big move for this coming up. So obviously we start moving here onto the US election. 6th, we move hard, which I expected. And then now we're looking at a 13.3. So cannabis is a hyperactive market. When we went, I remember well trading AC8 in Australia. For anyone out there, AC8 in Cannes was good for about 3 months, and then it was, well, maybe 6 months, and it was pretty bad. So these stocks can go wild. Like, look at this when it first came in. Now we're down here at $13. What can we say about the technicals? Well, 20 is going to be a key level. We've got over here a little level of support, not much, and then we've got a little level of resistance. But we're going to have a 50 exponential here on the weekly. Now we're on the weekly because it's going to be tough to look at all the smaller time frames. I'd be looking at, if you're a bull, there is probably going to be selling pressure coming in at the 20, even with all the hyperactivity. But if you're looking at a perspective of what's going to be really healthy for you to say, okay, we're going to the next level, and the next level could be crazy. It could be like 40. It'd be getting above 20, coming back and retesting it, and then of course moving up. So I'd be looking at 20 across the board here, but that's a nice move coming into the daily open. On the daily here, hitting a 200 simple, I'm not sure if that even matters. When you're wondering whether it matters or not, go back and see how price interacted last time with the zone. It didn't care, so therefore I don't use that. But yeah, these are pretty brutal kind of big gap moves, and therefore the only way you can think of it is if it continues to bull run, 20 is the zone. Absolutely smashing all-time records here on the live stream, so thank you very much, everybody. Keep those questions coming in and we'll keep going through. Siddharth says weed equals the multi-bagger. I don't see why it couldn't be again. It looks like it's going back into a good phase for itself there, Siddharth. But a lot of it is hype. And that's the thing. It was hype the first time. You couldn't get earnings like they were saying you could. But it does quite well. A few people want to look at Roku. We'll do that now, or Roku. So this has declined 7% here. Where are we pre-market? Probably around that resistance. So 235 slightly underneath the 238 high. This had a pretty good earnings on it, didn't it? And then it's pulled back. Now, I mean, it's in a big bull phase. So you would think there would be buying pressure to come back in. When you're thinking about buying these kind of markets that are just vertical, what do you want to do? Well, you want to go through your time frames and find any kind of reoccurring concept that keeps happening. Now, is the reoccurring concept here the 50 exponential moving average? Kind of around that 50 exponential moving average on the daily, we've found buying pressure. Now, we are certainly not near that zone right now. We're at 235. Previous little bit of resistance, but in the middle of nowhere. So we need to go down to the smaller time frames to figure out whether there's a trade for us. I find it difficult to find a trade here, guys. I find it very difficult. Yes, previous resistance, but there's got to be better stuff out there, yeah? Not saying if you're bullish, it won't go up, but the 50 has been the recurring thing. When we looked at it last time, that was the recurring kind of 1, 2, 3. So even the fourth touch, there's probably going to be some inherent buying pressure. $10.77. You're always supporting, man. $4 American. Thank you very much for the coffee and the tip there, mate. Appreciate that. Thanks so much for the subscriptions, guys. Appreciate that. How is oil looking? It is looking crazy. It is looking very, very wild. Let's load up that WTI here. US oil. So we are hitting the top end boundaries. Look at that fake out. We didn't even get it. It came through the bottom support and just kept going down. And then, of course, the election started. And then all of a sudden, we fully reversed. Very key level coming up here on oil. Again, no coincidence. Ahead of the most important market open, the American market, we are hitting 41.25 resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Probably going to act as a little bit of resistance here. But what happens if we blow out here? Very nice for oil stocks. Again, XOM hitting the resistance as well at the same time. So little bit of a bull. Close is the key here on the daily for US oil. And then pull back into the 41.25. And then that should trigger more buying pressure on oil. Unexpected news, if the market really does like it and it continues to hold these levels, this is a channel and it was certainly a range. And even though it faked out, that was just ahead of that election. So for me, I'm still looking at kind of like a 46 here on US oil. Short to medium term is the concept on the technicals here for that one. Heaps of people asking why Nasdaq is so weak. This news here, 90% protection coming in for the vaccine. Much better than projections. Projections were 70 to 80%. It slows down tech's domination. Wall Street has priced in tech growing at a certain rate, which is an extremely fast rate due to the current crisis. That is, of course, not currently projected if this whole stuff plays out the way that Wall Street is. A lot of people don't realize the stock market thinks like 12 months ahead. It's not trading on today's news alone. It's trading on a projection that's going to be 12 to 18 months away. So we're still holding here S&P 500 36.65. In comparison, a lot of markets around the world moving very, very quick. Wow, look at this. This Dow is getting crazy. It's almost hit it. Oh, I want to watch that. A monumental occasion. Did it just hit? Going down to the 1 minute. Did we just see history for the Dow on the futures anyway? Oh, what is this? 2999.33. Come on, guys. Someone just buy it all and then get it to the 30,000 for us. Anyway, that is history for sure. If we open up around here, an all-time 10K. You don't see that often. 10Ks for the Dow are a rare beast. I've only ever seen, of course, one myself, really, other than when it already went through and then got busted off during the GFC when I started. So we had our 13, then we had obviously coming through the 10 again. I still remember the 20, it just completely destroyed it. And then now we're getting a 30 only a few years later. Pa says I've got to zoom in more. All right, we'll quickly do that with the community here. Let's get in on that 30,000. Come on. I should go down to a tick chart. I don't even know if I can here on this trading software. All right. Are you sure? I don't think it hit it. No. I'm going to go with that is not allowed. No. 1877, a few people coming in with gold. Let's get off that chart now. All right, bring up the VIX. VIX still declining, 23.6. They obviously, Wall Street, believe this is real. This is the thing. Or at least we're going to find out if it's a thing in the first hour of trade. Just remember, guys, first hour of trade, the retail trap. We're smashing records here. 1,032 people coming in. Thank you very much. Gold completely rejecting. This is actually a pretty bearish monthly. Very bearish kind of wick rejection here. 1878. It's bad for gold buyers. Coming right back down to support. What's our silver doing? 2430. So still holding relatively well compared to gold. Now, silver will move more as a percentage because silver's always wild, but remember, it still is a bit of a hybrid metal. So gold coming down here quite hard, 1876. Yeah, basically it's going to hit the support very, very soon. And if it gets through that zone, it's going to really nosedive. Remember, we've been talking about this 1850 for ages here. Underneath that, I don't see much to 1800. And then underneath that, 1750. So there's going to be 50 chunks. If you're watching this during the session today and it gets through this zone, it could chunk very quickly to 1800. Be very careful on days like today for really wide spread on gold. If you're a trader, look at your spread. A few people saying Dow crossed 30,000. Look at your spread, because spread can get absolutely wild, and a lot of people make the mistake. All right, we saw it. Easy smash. Look at this 1 minute chart. Chunked 44 points in that 1 minute above. So congratulations, everybody. You've witnessed the Dow just hitting 30,000 for the first time ever. Yes. S&P's 3672 now as well. So there's the Dow. My goodness. If you asked me this morning if Dow was going to hit 30K today, I say you're crazy. Well, now I don't. And it's still going. My goodness. They're going to take that stimulus away. Fed Chair Powell comes out on Thursday. No more stimulus. That's some big moves. Let's have a look at the futures screener here. Just look at Europe. Load up that futures. Finviz, if you're not on it, definitely get on finviz.com if you're a trader or investor. Good little place to go during the morning. 10% up now on crude WTI. 6% still on the Euro stocks. Big moves on the Russell. I mean, the Russell, the small caps just going absolutely ballistic. Dow going ballistic. The real lagger being the Nasdaq, due to, again, performance hit because the crisis potentially is over faster than Wall Street was projecting. Doesn't mean the stocks are bad, though. Does not mean the stocks are bad. Just some will come off. It'll be things like Zoom and DocuSign and those kind of stocks. Terrible FOMO, Bull God says, yes, there is a lot of FOMO. This is not the kind, if I'm in it, you know, all green, all good. But if I'm not in it, I can't do the FOMO, yeah? We actually saw an interesting opportunity just appear before. Let's get off this Dow now that we've seen history. History is being made across the board here. And we saw an interesting opportunity just a few minutes ago. A few people took advantage of that, I believe, and they were probably looking at it. Look at this spike down we saw instantly there on the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq went to 12,000 flat, hit our perfect moving average, and then just bounced straight off it. And now we're basically back to being where we were. So things are happening so quickly, and this is the danger of the markets. If you're going to be in these markets and you're thinking of shorting against them, that type of thing, remember the market or the indices are always inherently slightly longer or bullish than they are bearish. Bearing and being a market predictor of selling is so tough. You've got to be in, out, and lightning fast. Being a buyer, obviously a lot easier. Just pick kind of nice looking dip zones. Russell limit up. Good point, Walt. So we would have just hit limits. Now, if we have limits, what does that mean? It means that we're going to close for 15 minutes and reopen. We haven't had a limit up in a long time. Pull my chart down. Yep, we've been checking out that news. We've got the news over here. I haven't done an update, but I'm sure if you went to any of the ones, again, you can use things like finviz.com, click on news, use CoiFin as well. It's really, really great. You'll notice here, look at all this. All the market, pretty much all the way up here. Cinema stocks, AMC, 59% pre-market here. Big moves on anything to do with that type of stuff. Remember, companies, the most important thing when you're looking at these kind of recovery companies is going to be still cash flow. Make sure that they have cash flow. Welcome, CP, to the trading community. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate it. And then enjoy your emojis and all the other things that come along with it. All right, so let's get back into just talking about some of these big moves. Let's go over to Webull. If you're interested in joining up, obviously we do have a Webull thing with some stocks down below in the description if you want to check that out. But really the story of the day has been so far all of the things that were hit by the crisis of the pandemic have been pretty much now big movers. American Express on our big check here, 10 billion plus. Let's just get rid of and go all and have a look at what's really going on. So let's do the pre-market. I've got a little bit too much matches, so we'll go 20 billion plus. All right, so Boeing up now 15%. It was actually up 16+% before. So Boeing still declined a little bit off its highs. Got Booking Holdings, very, very strong. Walt Disney, a favorite of the channel here. Can't say I'm sad to see it 11.45. We've been waiting for that for quite a long time. Chubb, MasterCard, Visa, crazy moves there. On the negative side, if you're a value hunter, is there value in these types of things? We talked about Zoom before, 436 currently. Not really value there, but there could be some decline further. A lot of people thinking Netflix is going bad here. I think Netflix is coming to strong support. Go back a little bit, maybe about half an hour ago, we did some good analysis on that, I feel. Take-Two, all the games companies maybe becoming a little bit decent. You know, we're not, what's Take-Two down to? So Take-Two 167, probably still pretty high there for that particular stock, but EA had a bad earnings on it. Obviously Activision also will be declining a little bit here. Game companies still very good long term. All right, let's go over to the room here. Somebody asked me about some stocks. So put a stock in here. We will look at Boeing right now, and we will load that one up first, and then we'll go on to something from one of the rooms. All right, so Boeing, here we are, 182 pre-market. So that's not even on this 4-hour screen. So let's go to a daily and just put it in perspective of how bullish this has been so far. So 182 still doesn't even put us back to where we were during that kind of big bull trap that happened in the June period. You can see here, the market has a tendency to go crazy and then really stuff the retail investor, hurt us in terms of trading. So 182 straight into kind of this jumble zone, but more importantly, look at that 200 simple moving average. It proves time and time again, Wall Street really uses these numbers and they love opening the market at a resistance or a support during these kind of days. So we're on the 200 simple moving average coming into the market, 182.50, very, very strong level. And it's certainly going to be a zone where I would expect some pressure each way. So very important to note that. Now, if we think about it from a bigger perspective, you know, how high has this stock been? Well, you know, really high, back up to $350 to $400. If you're somebody that's going to be holding, let's say, a really bullish run on this stock, this is the super bullish long-term target. You're probably going to have a 200 slightly moving up at that point, and that would be a 300. Remember, always keep this as an alert long-term because you'll forget about it. Just leave it there. But previous supports, 1, 2, 3, it will act as some form of resistance if it is to go super bullish in the next coming weeks. Pedro says stocks are going to go up 15%. Are you talking about stocks or the whole market, Pedro? Because that's pretty wild. Want to look at Bio and Tech, BNTX. So this is the one with it, isn't it? Or is this? Yeah, this is 25% up here. It's actually been moving relatively well recently. Anyway, whoop, we're all the way up here now. So 114. What do you do with a stock like this if you're in it? Well, you don't have a clear level other than if it was to pull back due to hype not being as real, we'd be seeing it back to these levels. So you would have this on as a long term. People will care about this. 2 resistance levels will act as generally a support zone. Important to always have on your charts. Leave it there. If it happens, it happens. Targets on this kind of thing. Well, if it's real and they've got it, they're probably going to make even more money. So you can't easily put a target on something that's in health. Health technology, biotech, that kind of thing can go very bullish for a long time. Look at CSL in Australia. Can move very, very quickly. Can we put up Square? Yeah, we can do Square. Another favorite of a lot of people here. So Square only down slightly, 190. Big move, 152 to 200. Again, psychological number. If it sells off that kind of zone, let's say it was going to do it anyway because it hit it, regardless of what's going on right now. It shows me a lot of retail traders investing in it. That's the type of thing we usually see. If you're looking at, where does it go next? Maybe a 180 if it continues to pull down. Still a good company. Not going to be hit as much by potentially this crisis ending a little bit earlier in terms of everyone just being able to reopen up. 20 moving average would probably be reaching at the same time. Very tough to read on the chart here because it's pretty extended. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking too much there. You'd want to jump into the smaller time frames, and I mean really small time frames, and look for moving averages that have been respected. Like let's say this bull run over here. What I like to do, easy technique, is when you start to see something, okay, so you start to see a pattern. Let's say we didn't want to look at this one. 1, 2 touches of the 20. What are we going to do on the third one? That's a great little scalp trade for the day. Intraday trade, trade it up. You've seen the pattern. The key is here that you're trading it and you've seen the pattern. The 1, the 2, and then the 3, and then the 4, and then eventually it'll fail. But usually what will happen during the fail is it will pull back the first time to let you out at a break even. So always important to have a look at that. The 1, the 2, then the 3, then the 4, etc. Astrology Geek says, I'm not buying that vaccine frenzy. Now, this is certainly a frenzy and it's certainly extreme. I don't blame you for not buying into it, but you probably want to be starting to set up for concepts of maybe if the frenzy dies down a little bit, we see a pullback into key zones. I can't quite believe what we're seeing on the Australian market right now. I'm an Australian, obviously. This is crazy. 65.51. Wow. That's big for us. 5.5%. And we've been open today. We already went to a 6,300. Whew. That's a big move. I don't know if we can hold that. That is crazy. 5.49% up. Haven't even looked at currencies. We're only now about 40 minutes away now, 38 minutes away from open. Let's have a quick look at the currencies of the world. Euro kind of just hovering above this resistance, coiling itself. Worthwhile checking on the smaller time frames there just from a quick glance. Pound, very, very similar. Let's have a look at dollar index. Dollar index, it's not really the currency day, is it? Currency not moving that much. Odd moving crazy though against the yen. So that probably means yen across the board would be moving fairly hard. Look at that. US dollar against the yen. Yep, makes some sense. We've got a bit of the anti-hedge here. So that probably also means that we've got a big move here on the US dollar Swiss. Never use the Kraken. The Kraken is the worst when it comes to data on TradingView. There it is. There's the big move on the US dollar Swiss. So the market is interpreting this as real because these are anti-hedging. People getting out and putting it in. But that doesn't mean you should feel FOMO. But that is what these things are. A few people saying, buy the gold. So here's the gold. Came down to the kind of that zone area. Not really a clear level. This is a full dip. That's a full scary buy the dip right there, guys. Odd dollar strengthening. Yep. So we're going to be seeing odd dollar strengthening here. But mostly those two big ones, US dollar yen, US dollar Swiss. I know why they're moving, and they are due to money coming out of them and going into most likely equities across the world. Yes. Matthew Tange says stock flow statistical analysis on cryptocurrency tells the story. So crypto should be getting dumped a bit right now, yes? Little bit of a sell-off here on crypto. We were 16,000. This is the weekly chart. Go down to the daily here. We're 16,000, starting to sell off a little bit. 15,247. Remember, we've never held a monthly above 14K. where is the level that it should come back down to? Technically the 14, because we want to get down to that 20 moving average. But a lot of people won't want to hear that one, I'm sure. Bitcoin, you need to look at the smaller time frames. You need to think about this resistance that's just been formed here. Having a look at the resistance is key to whether you think there's bullish or bearish intent. There's no clear kind of moving averages across the board except for the 50. So that was bought last time. Remember, we've been talking about the 1, 2, 3. First buy down here, second buy, third buy, fourth buy, fifth buy, sixth buy. Question mark? You obviously need to make your own decisions there. That's the kind of thing you want to break down though. The standard pattern. Because remember, Bitcoin is heavily traded by big whales, strong hand kind of traders, like a lot of you out there, I'm sure, and a few weak hands as well. That's the crypto lingo, yeah? Apple up in pre-market. Yes, there will be quite a few up and down in pre-market. So we have here a whole bunch of things going on across the board. Really, it's the tech stocks that are copying it today and people moving into other things. Amazon down 2.29. We saw a 4% pre-market down before. Electronic Arts, considering the worst gaming company in the world, but still makes lots of money. 119 down 2%, so wasn't doing that well. Boeing 15%. Scroll through here, CME Group 6% up. CME Group, a trading company, of course. Financials, energy, McDonald's with the decent little earnings there. We like that stock here. Disney, all of those kind of things. Tesla, not up as much as I'd hoped. 2.73 is not that strong for Tesla. All right, so we had some other people coming in here. A few people saying Royal Caribbean, they're loving that one. Yeah, we had a look at that before. We had a look at Carnival, sorry, but I'm sure all of them are moving very similarly. Oil coming off that resistance there. We mentioned that only, 20 minutes ago that it was hitting that resistance. Again, this is kind of leading me to think that the FOMO is way too real in the futures markets right now, guys. Be very careful out there. This is very large moves, may not be sustained. 41.20 resistance reached, started selling off. What was it? 20 minutes ago we were looking at this one. J Bond says Dow 35k by Xmas. I won't read the next bit, but yeah, J Bond, look, we've been pretty bullish here on the markets in terms of the long term, medium long term. We still kind of hold that you should see around a 9% gain above the all-time high over the next 12 months. That's the average of what's happened. Now, we've already seen today about a 4% pre-market. So, take that what you will. But yes, Christmas rush, Democrats generally has been very, very strong. This is... We do have the Fed coming out. Whoa, Siri's gone crazy. It's listening to me. iPhone 12 Siri is crazy. You don't even say, hey Siri, and it just goes for it. Okay, so Neo... just really more vertical here. I don't really see a strong pattern on the 1 hour, even on Neo, because it's just been so strong. Bring your time frames down if you're wondering how to get into stocks like this and trade it. And again, look for the consistent moving average that has been bought several times. I guess the 30-minute 20 is the one that has, but I don't like 30-minute charts. It's not used by enough people. Stick to the 1 hour and 4 hour and daily and 8 hour with stocks. All of these time frames. You can even use a 2 hour. 1 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour daily would be my preferred day trading kind of levels. You might not get as much opportunities. Plenty of stocks out there though. Can you look at the S&P briefly, says CP. Absolutely, CP. We can look at the S&P. So we'll go back over to the market here. Decline coming in a little bit. Let's just get rid of this projection. So we had the projections there from a one. What is this thing doing? Get rid of that. So 30-minute chart. We'll have to go back to a 4 hour here. Very, very bullish intentions on the market, pre-market. It's going to be hard for it to hold that. We saw the Dow hit history in the futures market, hold at 30,000. But this is so far away from key moving averages. Look at it away from the 20 here. Completely vertical. completely vertical, coming into retail traders. What does Wall Street love to do? Steal money from us. How do they do that? Basically creating a euphoric experience, taking the euphoria away, and then going, oh no, it really was deserved, but we'll take your money in between. So just be very careful on days like this. We're very far away from the 20, even on the 1 hour. Do expect some small pullback and then an extension. Usually a market, this is a lot of money, 5%, 4% on the S&P, that's trillions. Was like hundreds of billions at least. So it's a ton of money. Huge amounts. Look at the balance sheets on some of the companies that you're looking at as well. If you're looking at buying value, check your balance sheets. 1151 people watching. Thank you very much, everybody out there that's been liking, subscribing, following us. We're at an all-time record here of people watching. Our previous record was about 900. So thank you very much for joining us here. 29 minutes away from when Wall Street puts the hammer down and says, all right, this is what we're really doing. But remember, first hour has been traditionally crazy. Let's have a quick look here. Do I have a market? I don't think I've got a market. Let's go over to our CoinFin just to show this phenomenon in progress. So we'll go to CoinFin. If you're not on CoinFin, get on CoinFin. It's free. It's cool. Not sponsored by them, but I definitely think they provide some good stuff. So where was our last Monday? So last Monday would have been, losing track of time here, the 2nd. So 2nd was generally what we'll see is you'll have that morning kind of rush and then you'll have the decline through the day or decline after that period. So certainly just be careful in that first hour. It's a bit of a running joke we've got here. Look at that 10:30. The first hour is like, yeah, it's all good when we open up, and then there's the decline. And then the real big players, the big Wall Street players, come in near the end of the day. Always important to note that. Go back over to gold here. We've got a massive donation coming in from Shane. Thank you very much, Shane Coble. Very appreciative of this. Thanks, Yoda Tom. Australian $20, by the way. I'm going to crash like the market can. Be careful, troops. No worries, Shane. Yes, very late here in Australia, 1 a.m. Thank you very much, as always, for joining us and coming through. Aussie Cobber 71 says, Australian $5. Come on, everyone, smash that like button. Thanks very much, Aussie Cobber. I appreciate that very much there. See you later, Shane. Thank you. J-Bond continues the Dow 35 by Xmas. I think he has bull call spread at 35K, everybody. Big morning sesh here. Big morning sesh. So gold, just to quickly recap the markets, we've got gold coming a little bit off after the big move there. If we go to our US oil as well, we saw that US oil hit the resistance and sold off a little bit. If we go down to the 4 hour, we'll see that a little bit more clearly. We're going back up to test it now. US 500 has really been the story with the Dow of the morning, 36.65. Russell, if we go to the futures screener, is hitting limit up. Now, Russell does have the limit on it, so it looks like we've hit 7%. Limit up means that it will actually not trade. It'll go into a 15-minute halt, and then it will reopen. I believe it should be the same rule for the 7% here. Tetsu says, come on, Aussies, you got to stay up for this American craziness right now. Yes. This is certainly a historical moment. You know, we hit the Dow. Look at that futures. It actually just says 30,000 flat here on FinViz. So different futures contract, 30,000 flat. That's beautiful. Look at that. So nice. But yeah, just a historical day in terms of large, big bullish moves. Very rare to see limit ups hit. Very rare. Limit up is, this year has been the story of more limits than I've ever seen. And I traded some of the GFC, so. $77, US $4. Another coffee donation. Thank you very much, $77. Back onto this US 500. Very hard for us to say, okay, we've got a clear trend here or anything. It was just such a bullish ejection. What you'd be looking for, again, as we say with trends, is look for the reoccurring moving average play if you're trading it. Always look for the 1, then the 2, and then, of course, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, and those kind of ones become more likely. Use the statistics. Use the domination of statistical analysis. That kind of approach. Usually the best way to do things. Apple now holding up 1% at a 120. Don't lose faith in the Apple, everybody. It's still a very good company here. So we're 120s, a bit of a psychological zone. Found resistance before. Finding some resistance again. Still not really great value or anything, but we're about to get a 2050 cross here as well on the 4 hour. A relatively significant thing. We barely crossed here. We almost didn't even cross to the downside. We've got a slight downside ahead of the election and then straight back to the up. So 120, if we break that, where do we go? 124.50, 125. It's kind of like filling $5 gaps. Retail community. We, the retail community, are trading this pair, which again means $5 and $10 increments are incredibly important. ACB coming off, says Bruce Banner. Yeah, ACB 12.23, so was about 30-something% up before. It's 13 something now, 12.26. What's the Weeble kind of stuff going on here? Bring that up. Boeing now only 13.66, was 16 or 17. Walt Disney still holding strong. Cool. I'm cool with that. MasterCard Financial still holding very strong. 3M as well, doing pretty well here. Losers of the day so far: Biogen, Zoom, still really getting hit. In fact, Zoom's worse. 429 on Zoom. One of the most overbought stocks in the market right now is Zoom. Roku also still holding a 7.5. DocuSign, Netflix. Still relatively kind of unsure on Netflix. I don't feel like it's that negative for Netflix. They're growing market share. They can go back to shooting all their TV shows and all those things they've realistically got problems with. And it's coming down to a nice support zone. So hopefully it's not that negative on that pair. Might be biased. All right, let's have a quick look at Slack as well. So we'll go to work. Another one of the technologies that should be getting hit a little bit. So 3.59% down on Slack 26. Been looking a little bit at Slack recently around this 25 level, 24, kind of 50. Be interesting to see that. Probably worthwhile setting alarms and alerts there and having a look and making your own decisions. From a technical perspective, it's certainly support. So maybe worthwhile considering that, making some decisions. Maybo Hubbard says, is this a huge bull trap? Is the SPX going to retest support at 35.80? We talked about the ASX 200 and how now that it's really solidly broken above that 6,200, I know right now it seems crazy, we've got 65.30, that the 6,200 becomes a very strong buy dip zone. Also, this moves so quick that Wall Street will want to capitalize on making some cash from it. So does it really deserve these kind of large moves? What first hour is not going to tell us. It's going to be the close of the day that's going to tell us whether Wall Street wants to hold this or not. When the big traders come in and start really presenting the real volume. Futures is fake. The real market is, because we're going to say fake news versus real news, the futures market is not the real market. The real volume comes in and makes the real decisions. So we've got here 21 minutes until we get the open. David Moore says institutions sell calls all day and hedge in the futures. Yes, they certainly do hedge in the futures. We going to 4,000 on the S&P, says Andrew Keith. We certainly will be eventually there, yes. Not sure this far. J Bond says, folks, not that hard. Vaccine, low interest rates, lots of money floating around, no inflation yet, in brackets, good. Stocks go up. Do we say stonks or stocks, J Bond? Also pent-up demand. Well, there's a decent amount of money on the sidelines, J-Bond. We saw that when we had a look at our US dollar yen and the way that that was trading there, and US dollar Swiss as well. FTJ has kind of countered that. He says, FOMO, anti-hedging, vaccine, Biden win. And then a few people saying huge bull trap. Siddharth says Jay Bond's here to try to juice those retailers up. Well, we're not definitely, we don't want to be falling into the trap of the hype, you know. Don't fall into the trap of the hype or the leverage in situations like this. It's always, you know, you got to be careful, yeah? It's your hard-earned money at the end of the day. Don't fall into that kind of trap. There's always another opportunity. That's what I always say here. For anyone that's in Bitcoin as well, just back over to this market because we're slightly down here. Just remember that if we get through this low, it's going to look like a crazy double top here on the market. Now, it's nowhere near that right now. But if it does, it could be very bearish for this pair. So there's a lot of pent demand buying on Bitcoin. I understand why. But as we see, gold market doesn't have that pent demand retail buying. So I always look to gold a little bit and say, okay, well, if gold's getting trashed and Bitcoin isn't getting trashed yet, sometimes I think Bitcoin follows after gold. It'd be worthwhile comparing them actually a little bit on the sell-off days. Valdo says it is the gigantic bull trap. Gigantic. Andrew Keith says there are 3 spots people can put their assets: housing, gold, or stocks BTC, or bonds at 0.8% for 100 years, Andrew. Why not? Nah, the bonds have their place. I actually don't mind bonds, but I think they're very difficult right now. Joanne says, I feel like reversal is going to happen today at the close. We'll be making a video tomorrow on that on the close. So obviously that will be coming out hot a couple of hours after the close. Definitely subscribe if you're interested in checking that one out as well. We've got a big audience here today, so that's awesome. So we're not very many minutes away now from the open. I had to definitely stay up for today's one. If we go through the broad markets here, let's just again do the pre-market. Has anything changed? Boeing come down a little bit from the hyperactivity of the 16%. This is 20 billion plus. Any EPS here on Webull. We've got Caterpillar doing really well as well. Another favorite of kind of recoveries and obviously a stock that's been beaten down. Technology, not really kind of in the limelight today. It's all about finance, energy, and those types of things. Let's go and have a quick look, just one more look here at XOM. I want to see what's happening there on the futures. 36.36. So we're actually slightly above these previous highs now. So we had a 36 resistance, which is kind of where I thought we'd open. We're not open yet. But this is an interesting zone. This is the 1 hour. Let's go to the daily here. Put it in perspective here, energy is still incredibly beaten down sector, specifically in large techs, large kind of energy stocks, XOM, etc., etc. So 50 exponential moving average. Next move, if it is to be bullish here and we're believing all of this going on, is 40 to 41. So there could be some very strong gap kind of moves in there. Again, don't feel for the FOMO, but yeah, not a bad company, this one. There's other companies like that. You can always go and have a look at things like Coifin as well. Bring up XOM. Let's do that now together. ExxonMobil. See what the monkeys say about it. And they've got an estimation of, if it ever loads. Don't fail me now, Coifin. Got lots of people watching. Looks like it's going to take a few minutes. Someone crashed the server, hey? Don't think that's going to load for us, but basically I know it's high. It's quite a lot higher as their expectation. So anyway, we'll go visit that again soon. Check out US oil, still kind of recovering here. Let's go to a few stocks. We're 16 minutes out from the open. We'll get our zones ready, though there won't be too many zones coming into this kind of hyperactive market. We'll answer some questions instead, and I'll bring up the screener. So let's bring up some kind of screener here. We'll move this one to tech. Where did I put the screener from before? There it is. Okay, so we've got on the left-hand side here, we have US 100 tech. We've got in the middle S&P. You can see little kind of tickers there. US 30. Historical 30,000 reached today. Then we've got US dollar here rejecting down a little bit. Gold over here on the left-hand side. And we'll load up a stock or something here. I think probably the best thing to do is... wouldn't mind seeing maybe the Russell, actually. So we'll go futures of the Russell, because it's basically limit high. As in, it has hit a level that is so crazy that it is limit high into the market open, I believe. 6.67% right now. Definitely check that out. CBOE put call ratio at 2.02. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people got busted owning puts there, Buzzblads. I saw that 2.02 rating, very, very high. Here's the CBOE put call ratio. If you're selling the market, top tip to anyone. If put call ratio is super high, the market doesn't crash. Why is that? Because it wants to steal all of the cash. It's when people least expect it. When you have put call ratio at 1.2 consistently, like we did before September, you know, we talked about it on this channel. It was a very clear sign. We had the VIX going up while the market was going up. That's weird and super unusual. So use PCC as a code, and that will help you kind of identify like the 0.6 line here on put call ratio. It's always a great line, very good lead, as well as copper. You don't always see it, but when it happens, it happens. So we've got these markets here. We've got 14 minutes till the open. What was the put call ratio during the start of the March crash? Okay, that's a good point. Let's have a look over here. So put call ratio, if we have a look here in Feb levels before the crash, you'll notice it was all around this 0.6 quite a lot. And then it started to go up. And obviously the market did decline through this, but notice where it hits the high. So this is where the super psycho amounts of puts were opened. 9th of March. So if you correlate that with the market, you'll find that it's close-ish to, of course, where we end up hitting lows. During a proper, full-on fledged dive, though, it won't be exact science. But usually, through most years, you look at put calls, and it's pretty consistent with the dip scenario. Okay, let's go back over those markets and answer some more questions. Dr. Horton says, this is exciting stuff. Thank you for mentioning this, Doctor. You have been upgraded, mate. There you go. Oh, I also got to do you, Johnny. There you go, mate. You support the channel quite a lot, Johnny, so you're always here. You are now a moderator. There you go, mate. All right. Questions here. Quite a few people saying 35K Dow certainly is possible. GE $6 was a good move, says Andrew. Well done, Andrew. You bet on a company that I find very terrible. But that doesn't mean that $6 isn't a good deal, Andrew. Okay, what else we got here from questions coming in? REITs going up about 5%. Expectations for the future demand of retail and office real estate on undervalued sector. Yes. If you look at the sector rotation on REITs, it's been really bad for quite a long time. So definitely an area that will benefit from opening there. Check that one out and go look. A few people in pot, they're very, very excited about it. Fair enough. It's certainly been the move since the US election. A few people say vaccine is nice, but it's going to take some time. J-Bond, I don't disagree with you. I think a statistic there, if you're always buying though, J-Bond, you'll usually do quite a lot better. So in terms of trading, if you know the market and you're buying most of the time, then you will do a little bit better. But yes, investing long term, sticking to the principles of quality, that kind of stuff does work quite well. A few people asking, our Meowdy partner says, what is your thoughts on the 200-point pattern on the Nasdaq? Is it still valid? So it hasn't really been valid since it broke through that initial kind of big move over here. So we saw the 11.2, and then of course it went to 11.5 then and continued up. So really at that point when it got through and destroyed our downtrend and started looking from the uptrend, I think it really broke through there. Look at this though. We got back down. Is that true? Are we really there? Are we all the way back down? No, we're not. Okay, cool. I was going to say, geez, if we're back at 12,000 already, that's a big pullback. So we're sitting at 12.2. Nasdaq really holding back the S&P a little bit. The Dow has not been held back as much. S&P 4% up now, was as high as 36, kind of 73 plus, now 36.63 into the open. We'll jump on the small charts. I think it's worthwhile today actually having the 5 minutes up here on a few of these indices. We're going to load 5 minutes up across the board because it's a super exciting open, and I want to see the quick reaction when the real volume comes in with everyone here. So we'll go 5 minutes on all of these. We'll reduce this. If you haven't tried TradingView, you want to do a little bit of pattern analysis or TA and you haven't done it before, definitely not a bad little program to go in there. You can use it for your long-term analysis as well, which is kind of cool. So we'll leave 5 minutes across the board up here. Probably leave these charts on. And we'll go back over to the Webull. Yes, we have looked at NEO quite a few times there for the questions coming in. I'll look at it again because I know everyone's interested in it. But it shouldn't be like a crazy move. It should be flat as attack this morning. 0.26%, man. So not too much NEO movement. NEO really hasn't pulled back to what I'd like, which is like maybe continuously touching a 20 in a really nice bull run. You see 20 touch, 20 touch, 20 touch, 20 touch, like an apple when it goes up, and you just buy the 20s and take advantage of those kind of trades. Remember, easier to buy than ever sell. So always try to stick to that. Things that are going up, anything to do with reopening the economy. So we've got energy, financials as well as doing quite well. Then we've got, of course, anything in travel. They're all doing very strong numbers today. Very, very strong numbers. Where are we? Over here. There we go. So we've got our 5 minute charts ready. 8 minutes off the bell. I'm certainly excited to see the first kind of half an hour of trade here. J-Bond, you gotta calm down, man. It's all right. It's all right, dude. Putting puts on airlines and cruises, probably not the best move today. Just in general, that's also very, very risky when you've got reopening kind of concepts like this. So let's go to the Webull 8 minutes out here. Have a look again. 20 billion plus is what we're looking at. Thank you very much to everybody that's here coming into the open. Thank you for the support, everyone out there. Boeing still really the kind of company of the day, the strongest of these big ones, still financials. They've come back a little bit. Berkshire as well. Now, did anyone see Buffett been buying his own stocks a little bit there, guys? He's doubling down. He doesn't see value anywhere else, but he certainly sees value in his one. I see the FOMO is really real in the community today, so quite a lot of FOMO coming in. I can understand that one. Don't give up on NEO. Watch it go up today. Not giving up on anything, man. Just saying that it's very difficult to find a rhyme or reason other than that it's news that it's going up. You can't look at pullbacks there because the pullbacks haven't been very severe. So yeah, Berkshire Hathaway, we saw Buffett doing quite a lot of stuff. Walt Disney still holding around 10%. Nike, it's another interesting play there. Let's have a quick look at the Nike chart. I just want to see how it's been going recently. We'll load it up on this one. And we'll go to the daily here on Nike. I just wanted to have a quick look here. So it's been very, very strong. People just buying shoes and putting them on their kind of walls. But 7.8%. One almost 39. If we go to a weekly, just put in perspective, it is, it's very, very strong, isn't it? I find that incredibly difficult to fathom this one. Yeah, that's high. Now we'll have to see what goes on there for Nike. A few people saying gold on sale. I think gold is probably okayly priced. If you put it in perspective of where it is and the support it's on, the 20 moving average has been key here on the weekly. So just remember, a break below this really exposes last time's touches. So be very careful with gold. The 50 has been the deep pullback kind of level. Now, if you get through and you close below on the weekly here, and we're still early days right now, a deep pullback would be to the 50. And then hopefully the old 1, 2 becomes the 3. 5 minutes now till the open, so everything's about to explode and move up. We've got our 5 minutes ready here. We've got Nasdaq left, S&P 500 mid, and Dow on the right. All the numbers are ready. Dollar index bottom here, gold across on the left. We'll load gold onto a 5 minute chart. Might as well load them all in and zoom them all in for everybody, because we do have potential of some fireworks coming off. These futures are pretty extended. And we've got our limit up potentially here as well. We've got the 4 hour on the Russell on the right. Corsair, they have earnings, and I think they will destroy. Well, there's certainly been some pretty good earnings there. LiQWYD says, I sold AMD when I was here Friday, just going to wait for another big pullback. The patience game again. Good luck, LiQWYD. Hope you get what you need. Household Dog says cruise lines are junking ships by the hundreds. Cruise lines, yeah, that's an interesting area. So we're now 4 minutes off the opens. Everyone pretty hyped for today? A week of turmoil, says Valdo. Absolutely. We've got a week of craziness across the board. Dardo says ERBB medical marijuana in AZ, 20 million. I'm not sure what all the rest is talking about there, but he obviously might have got in. That's good. Trust Your Vibe says, thank you, man, for the amazing insight. Subscribe. No worries, Trust. Thank you very much for your support, man. How far down do you think the S&P could pull back in the after like maybe the first hour? I think the first hour has generally been the trap, but you know, we've had a lot of trapping here potentially in the futures. This is a large historical move. Dow hit 30,000. It's opening just underneath. So the real market hasn't technically made the history yet, but we're about to possibly see it. I haven't had time during the stream. 20 minutes before we stream, we got this news, 26 minutes. And obviously I want to come on and support, you know, the community and talk about it, but I haven't had enough time to dig in. Other people out there might know, is this the real deal? Are we on the markets obviously are thinking it's the real deal, but it must hold. Yeah, MasterCard and Visa, we took a look at those. Use maybe things like extended fib extensions will be worthwhile. So 2 minutes now off the open, guys. Very, very close. Will it be the popcorn hour or the truth? A little bit of selling in the futures. Here we go. This is a 5 minute chart, so just remember they're going to look pretty wild, potentially. Get rid of this giant thing. It's probably giving people with OCD a bit of a heart attack, having these big numbers here. So we're now only 1 minute 30 away. Coming down to these 5 minute 20s, there's certainly a little bit of selling off these futures. Dow still the strongest one. Really, Nasdaq only up 0.75. Aussie market still holding 65.30. So still very, very big numbers. Last hour of trade will be the most important time today. Last hour of trade to see what Wall Street really believes about all of this. Brian says the size of the trial was under 100 people. I thought it was 10,000. Is it 10,000 or 100? Can someone confirm? Somebody that's had a chance to really look in deep into that. LiQWYD says FX hit 25K. Oh man, cool. Thank you. I didn't even know we hit that then. Here we go. Here we go. 40 seconds. We've got the counter. Thank you very much, everybody. We did, I believe, hit 25. Yeah, wow. Big stream. 25,000. Thank you very much, everyone. 20 seconds till we get the opens. 5 minutes loaded. Still looking strong here on this one. We'll get our bell ready. Here we go. S&P coming off a little bit here. All right, we're open. Oh, man, it's just like we're there in the pit, guys. That nasty noise of the open. There we go. All right, so we're off and racing here, and it looks like the S&P's come down a little bit. So we've dropped about 0.5% in the last couple of minutes. We're as high, just to remind people that are coming in, we've got a lot of viewers, 36.75 in the pre-market, and we've just opened there at about 36.40 something. We'll go over to the Webull in just a second to see which ones are going crazy. You might as well do that right now. Let's have a look here at percentage changes. So this is 20 billion plus, all sectors that we're looking at. We'll just quickly reload that. Zimmer, Biomet doing very, very well. Booking Holdings, Boeing still holding a 13.6. It was 16% pre-market futures. Disney doing even better. Come on, Disney Bulls. Yeah. I might have more interest in that one. But yeah, 11.4% there. Let's have a look at the losers of the day so far. We've got Roku, we've got Zoom down 15.9%, 16 now, 16.2. So that's trading at a 432 level. 418. So it's getting down close to that 400 we're talking about. DocuSign really copying it as well. Let's go back over to the market. So interestingly enough, the Dow is still really the one that's holding the best, but we are seeing selling coming in a little bit here on the S&P. We'll go over to the room. What's going on? Mark says the analysis evaluated 94 confirmed infections amongst the trials 43,538. So it was a very big sector then, Mark. Case split between vaccinated individuals and those received placebo indicated a vaccine efficiency of around 90% at 7 days after the second dose. Well, there you go. So it definitely looks like it's looking pretty good. Thank you very much there, Mark. Dow did not reach 30K. Fake news on the Dow. We witnessed futures history, but not the real market there. But some big moves coming across here. We'll have a look at those declines in just a few moments. Sub 36 and I'm happy, says Brian. All right, Brian, we'll see if we can get that. Jonathan says, have a good day, fellow traders. And to you, Jonathan, absolutely. Chris says, times like these, I wish I was comfortable swing trading most UK stocks plus 20 to 30% on watch. I tell you what, FTSE, Chris, the literal indice of the crisis. Everything on that stock market is no good. It all got smashed, didn't it? There's a few people saying Zoom. Let's go back over there and have a quick look at these percentage changes and reload this. Zoom now 412. Oh, I feel bad. This is what happens though when a big stock comes out of, not even with earnings, but a big stock comes out of being the flavor of the month. We're at a 408. It's almost worth watching on the bottom right here. So we saw the Russell come down a little bit. Still hitting that 7,000. Shouldn't that be technically... This is a futures market, but does that not go into limit? I don't know with the Russell. I never really follow it that much. Okay. Let's just quickly bring up Zoom here. I want to kind of watch that in the bottom right. Oh, it's brutal. Look at that. 5-minute open. Ouchie. 404. Will we see 400 buying here from Zoom? It's just dropping off a cliff. And to put it in perspective of how really long this thing is right now, let's bring up that weekly. So 20 moving average just underneath the 400 at 390 here for Zoom. But it's been an epic rise and obviously a decline. Maybe worthwhile also putting a fib of the whole move, but it's coming down to that 400, down almost 20%. 20% is never a good number for stocks. They find it hard to bring it back. Go back over to the room. Quite a few people saying, oh, Cisco up 7%. Jeremy, I like Cisco has the chance, man. Cisco has a chance. I'm actually pretty big on hack technology in the next couple of years. Anything to do with hack prevention, I think is going to become a bigger deal as a lot of people have moved online. You're going to need a lot of cybersecurity. I'm surprised it's not already really crazy. But yeah. So Zoom, it's a quick bit of buying pressure coming in there. We'll go to a 5-minute chart. We've got 36.40 now, 36.39 on the S&P. Nasdaq really starting to unload here. Futures was a great little pick up there, up to the 12.2. Now we've seen some decline here, and this is just being led by things like Zoom and DocuSign and all sorts of things like that. Let's go back over here, just have a quick look at these 20 billion plus. It's all happening here today, guys. This is definitely a very interesting day in the markets. Very gamblery, I would say. Still gaming companies not doing that well. Electronic arts, will it get even lower? Netflix down 9. Wow, Netflix down 9, guys. 468. Where is that putting it in perspective of the bottom of that channel? It must be getting very close to that level. Did it just hit it? I'm going to load Netflix up. I need to see that. Yeah, did. So right down in the bottom straight away here for Netflix. Buying pressure coming in straight away there from it as well. Little day scalpers seeing that line and being like, "Ooh, maybe I'm interested there." Taking the nibble. Obviously, you've got to make your own decision on that stuff. ASX still holding very, very well. Let's have a look at the FTSE 100 here. FTSE 100 on a firecracker. This is the UK market. Just it's going very nice from how bad it has been recently. Very, very nice there. Nasdaq on 12,000. Buzz says 20 EMA on the 4 hour. Yes, so it certainly is the 20 EMA. We saw it hit in the pre-market as well. PayPal down 10.3. Yeah, quite a lot of stocks. Amazon is down over 5, says Brian here. So stocks that have been doing really well. Maybo Hubbard says, didn't you say in the past that stocks don't recover when they are 20% off on the day? Yes, I did say that, Maybo. The only prerequisite against that is tech stocks. It's the only thing you can recover. So say like an oil stock, if it dumps 20% in a day, or just a traditional stock, they do not recover. It's like 7 out of 10 don't get back for a very, very long time. It's a bit of a problem there, but things like Zoom has dropped 10-20% before. Look at the previous history is the best way to say that, guys. Look at how the industry drops. When it drops hard, how does it recover? How does that stock recover off bad drops? Win 30% up. Actually, all gambling should be up pretty hard there. Think or swim broken, according to Joe. Sandollar says Apple is holding its own. Should be pretty flat there, yeah, Sandollar. Can we look at gold? We've got gold at 1877 on the right-hand side here. Pretty well where it is. Gold's actually also on the left-hand side down here. So 1877. Got gold just sitting here. Basically sitting on little crazy 5-minute support. No body close under this. So if you're wondering what might be a little bit of a trigger, possibly a 5-minute close. This is not trading though, in my opinion. It's just more you're kind of looking at zones. I prefer the swing based on the markets, not really the scalp so much. BRKB up 6.26%, sorry, Jose says. XOM up, was it? 15.31%. That's pretty much in line. That's a little bit more than we had before. Diego says, would you say UVXY is a sell or buy? I am not a huge fan of VXY positions. Why is silver down? Well, because gold is getting beaten as well. Silver's a hybrid. It's a mixture between like a copper, as in it's useful, but it's also a hedge. So all hedges are down right now. Markets are still declining here a little bit. So we are seeing some of the FOMO come out of the real market. The futures were just crazy today. That first move before we even started trading, about 2 hours before the open, before we started this stuff, was just crazy. Very quick move. I actually messaged someone. I said, it is going. And it just kept going. So Brian, you may get your wish. We may get under 3,600 fairly quickly. Let's have a look at the movers and shakers here. What's been going well in the 20K plus? Booking holding still going well. Boeing now coming off. Still holding about 13. Walt Disney doing well. I don't even know what that is, but very good. Biogen 30% down. Wayfair down 16. Zoom bought a little bit off that low. So some people would have seen around that 400 and just buy triggered it. Worthwhile as well if you're a person that has access to also seeing the lines and you want to look at the lines on a stock. So you're looking at something like Zoom. It's always worthwhile considering the depth of the market around the order lines. So make sure you do look at that. So this is just a basic account here because we just use it for watch lists, but always do check that out. Well worthwhile looking at your lines. We've got them in TradingView, but I won't load it up just yet. So here we'll do a whole analysis on that another time. So 36.31 now coming in through the markets. Gold putting pressure on the downside at the same time. It's interesting how gold's been dropping with the market. Think or swim is back. A few people saying. Zeely says war with China. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Gravity Falls says Shake Shack is up 18.95%. There you go. Generation Recon, could you explain more on how you view the buyer pools? We will be doing a whole analysis on it. I won't do it today. We're just too much movement here, and it's 1:40 in the morning, so I'm already getting a little bit wrecked. But I will do it. Definitely subscribe. Next Monday, hopefully not, well, maybe it's not so crazy. We'll go through a whole bunch of things. So just around the crypto markets and everything else that's going on. So we're still seeing the markets decline here. S&P, pretty much it looks like it's led though, potentially by the Nasdaq decline. So the tech's really hitting it. Because look at this, the Dow is not the one that's suffering as much today. So Dow 4.6, S&P only 3.25 now. Aussie market dropped about 70 points there as well. Still very large moves, still 1.5% down from the previous highs. Quite a few people just chucking crazy numbers about some of these airplane companies and stuff. Gold's really, really tough right now, and so is silver. We talked about gold. Scroll back about 20 minutes and you'll see some big kind of levels. If gold continues to decline here, probably goes towards that 50 exponential. All right, Brian, looks like we're getting it. The future's trapped. The FOMO was real. Continued decline here. Let's go to those percentages. Zoom, still 420. Seems to be kind of the middle games here are still moving down. So it's not just Amazon 4.48. Pretty decent move down here. 31.61 for Amazon. Almost getting back down to that kind of 29.50, 3,000 area, which has been always where those bulls have been sitting. PayPal also down relatively hard. On the flip side of that, and I know this won't have things like Airbus and stuff on it due to the earnings and smallness, still just the same kind of holds. Let's load up Coifin again and just have a look at the sectors. I want to see those sectors live. So we can go here, markets, US sectors, check out those one-day sectors. We're off to the races here. What's been the sector of choice? Energy up 14.98%. Woo! Hot dang. That is wild. Wild energy action. 14.98%. XLRE, a few people mentioning this before we went live. That is the real estate. In real market, it is starting to fly. So just a complete opposite of what we've seen recently. Yeah, that's the rotation coming in. This one in particular not being popular. Financials might be hard to hold those levels, but we'll have to see. 8% is a lot on the financials right now. I find that unbelievable. I don't find this unbelievable. I love this program. How good is it, guys? Free too. Amazing. Check out coifin.com or something like that. Also, if you want to support the channel and you haven't used Webull, we do have a a little link down below, which I think you can sign up with and get some stocks or something. So gold here, 5 minute just closed underneath the 1875 area. You would think that might cause further selling pressure here. Dollar at the same time is strengthening. Remember, the one thing about these wicks is when we see wicks closed by a body, that usually is taking out stop losses. And when that body does close, if it closes up, then that triggers a whole bunch of big Wall Street money buying. So what this random thing is down here is Zoom. Just hit a 50 on these smaller time frames. Let's do some analysis here on S&P 500 using the real market now. So we didn't quite hit it on the real market, but I think the futures would have hit about 36.67. Now let's go have a look at that. That is a monthly R2. Another good thing with stocks, use pivots. So if you're in uncharted territory like we are right now with new highs, use pivots whenever possible, and that will give you really good resistance kind of zones as well. High Def Tasmanian says, do you think last week's tech rally was a bull trap? Did the smart money know the vaccine? I have no idea whether they knew. How do we know? I'm sure somebody knew. But we should have seen a little bit more pickup in energy sector. There still would have been a huge amount of volume they would have been dumping. Look, someone always knows, yeah? Why is Roku down 12%? A lot of these stocks that have been bulling heavily have been down. Weed is now the new EV. Good point, D-Breeze. We've seen a rotation out of EV and now it's back onto weed. Retail sector's been moving through a lot of areas and then just pushing that area and becoming, and it just goes crazy, hyperactive for 2-3 weeks, and then it drops off. So if you're going to trade that way with, I guess, all the Robin Hoods and the Weebles and the retail community, just remember it gets off. So 36.67 monthly R2. I just want to remind you, why is that important? Well, let's go over here. We'll get this Neo chart turned into US 500. Let's have a look at that pre-market futures there. 36 kind of 74, so really close around that monthly R2. Look at monthly R1 previously, was very, very key. So monthly pivots do matter on the SPX. Always do it on the real market, not the futures whenever possible. So a bit of buying now coming back into tech. So they've decided there's some value in a few of those stocks. Gold continues its decline, and then everything else. Remember, first hour is always like this, crazy each way. We don't really know until the next hour, and of course the close is the key. So look, guys, I'm gonna have to leave you now. It's 1:48 in the morning my time. I'm pretty smashed. You know, I do work as well in terms of trade during the day. I need to be up and ready for the Australian market tomorrow, 6,500. I'll still have a video coming, but I do need to kind of prepare for that stuff as well. $7.77, he's donated at the same time. Thank you very much, $7.77, US $5, says keep it up. Look, thank you so much for the support today, everybody. We got heaps of subscribers, heaps of likes and everything. And yeah, it was awesome. So thanks very much for supporting the stream. I'm just completely wrecked, and I know tomorrow is not going to be beautiful if I have to get up and concentrate. So we'll see you very soon next Monday for the stream. Otherwise, making video content for you guys on days that's worthwhile doing so. So tomorrow, of course, we've got one coming. Have a good night, guys. Yeah, no, I gotta do it. I gotta be up before the open. I have to do analysis. Too much big moves. We do have quite a lot of money that we need to manage there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.